Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to our second First Chapter Friday. And I am super excited to tell you about a book today, my all-time favorite book. So many times kids say, Mrs. Olson, what's your most favorite book you've ever read? Well, my favorite children's book I've ever read is called The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. And it is a chapter book about a little China rabbit. And I know a lot of you guys are thinking, China rabbit, that's weird. Trust me, once you start reading this book, you will not be able to stop. And you will probably need a Kleenex box, because this book can get a little sad in parts, but we know from sadness we learn and we grow. And so that's one great thing about this chapter book. So I'm going to read to you The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane by Kate DiCamillo, who's one of my all-time favorite authors. She also wrote Because of Winn-Dixie. She wrote Flora and Ulysses. She wrote, I'm missing another big one, Tale of the Despero. All those books are actually available on Tumble Books as well. Now, this is a Tumble readable, so you need to read it. It's not going to read to you like the younger kid Tumble books, but it's wonderful. You can bookmark it. You can come back to it, and I hope you are going to enjoy it as much as I do. So to get there, in case you want to read more than the first chapter, you are going to go to our class link, Library Resources. Then you will go under Tumble Books. If you go under Tumble Readables, that's okay too. I just find the Tumble Book Library's got a little bit easier way to search. Then when you go in up here, there's a Tumble search button. And search by title. Now, Miraculous is a hard word to spell, but usually it'll pop up for you. And then hit go, and then it will bring you to our book. Now, here's the cover of the book, Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane, and a little summary. It is an accelerated reader book, so if I want my information, I can go right here, and it is, there's my quiz number. It's a 4.4, and it's worth 2 points. So that's the information on the book. And I'm going to go ahead and read online, and I have it open for us. I'm going to just slide my video over a little bit because I need to be able to see the words in order to read them to you. All right, here we go. I'm ready. So excited to read my first chapter of my very favorite book to you guys. All right, here we go. Chapter 1. Once in a house on Egypt Street, there lived a rabbit who was made almost entirely of china. He had china arms and china legs, china paws and a china head, a china torso and a china nose. His arms and legs were jointed and joined by wire so that the china elbows and china knees could be bent, giving him much freedom of movement. His ears were made of real rabbit fur, and beneath the fur there was strong, bendable wires, which allowed the ears to be arranged into poses that reflected the rabbit's mood. Jaunty, tired, full of anew. His tail, too, was made of real rabbit fur, and was fluffy and soft and well-shaped. The rabbit's name was Edward Tulane, and he was tall. He measured almost 3 feet from the tip of his ears to the tip of his feet. His eyes were painted a penetrating and intelligent blue. In all, Edward Tulane felt himself to be an exceptional specimen. Only his whiskers gave him pause. They were long and elegant, as they should be, but they were of uncertain origin. Edward felt quite strongly that they were not the whiskers of a rabbit, whom the whiskers had belonged to initially. Was it an unsavory animal? Was a question that Edward could not bear to consider for too long, and so he did not. He preferred as a rule not to think unpleasant thoughts. Edward's mistress was a 10-year-old dark-haired girl named Eveline Tulane, who thought almost as highly of Edward as Edward thought of himself. Each morning after she dressed herself for school, Eveline dressed Edward. The china rabbit was in possession of an extraordinary wardrobe composed of handmade silk suits, custom shoes fashioned from the finest leather and designed specifically for his rabbit feet, and a wide array of hats equipped with holes so that he could easily fit over Edward's large and expressive ears. Each pair of well-cut pants had a small pocket for Edward's gold pocket watch. Abilene would wound this watch for him each morning. Now, Edward, she said to him after she was done winding the watch, when the big hand is on the 12 and the little hand is on the 3, I will come home to you. She placed Edward on a chair in the dining room and positioned the chair so that Edward was looking out the window and could see the path that led up to the Tulane front door. Abilene balanced the watch on his left leg. She kissed the tips of his ears, and then she left, and Edward spent the day staring out at Egypt Street, listening to the tick of his watch and waiting. Of all the seasons of the year, the rabbit most preferred winter, for the sun set early then, and the dining room windows became dark, and Edward could see his own reflection in the glass. And what a reflection it was! What an elegant figure he cut! Edward never ceased to be amazed by his own fineness. In the evening, Edward sat at the dining room table with the other members of the Tulane family, Abilene, her mother and father, and Abilene's grandmother, who was called Pelgrina. True, Edward's ears barely cleared the tabletop, and true also, he spent the duration of the meal staring straight ahead at nothing but the bright and blinding white of the tablecloth. But he was there, a rabbit at the table. Abilene's parents found it charming that Abilene considered Edward real, and that she sometimes requested that a phrase or story be repeated because Edward had not heard it. Papa, Abilene would say, I'm afraid that Edward didn't catch that last bit. Abilene's father would then turn in the direction of Edward's ears and speak slowly, repeating what he had just said for the benefit of the china rabbit. Edward pretended out of courtesy to Abilene to listen. But in truth, he was not very interested in what people had to say, and also he did not care for Abilene's parents and their condescending manner towards him. All adults, in fact, condescended to him. Only Abilene's grandmother spoke to him as Abilene did, as an equal to another. Pelgrina was very old. She had a large, sharp nose and bright black eyes that shone like dark stars. It was Pelgrina who was responsible for Edward's existence. It was she who had commissioned his making. She who had ordered his silk suits and pocket watch, his jaunty hats and his bendable ears, his fine leather shoes and his jointed arms and legs, all from a master craftsman in her native France. It was Pelgrina who had given him a gift to Abilene on her 7th birthday, and it was Pelgrina who came each night to tuck Abilene into her bed and Edward into his. Will you tell us a story, Pelgrina? Abilene asked her grandmother each night. Not tonight, lady, said Pelgrina. When? Asked Abilene. What night? Soon, said Pelgrina. Soon there will be a story. And then she turned off the light, and Edward and Abilene lay in the dark of the bedroom. I love you, Edward, Abilene said each night after Pelgrina had left. She said those words, and then she waited, almost as if she expected Edward to say something in return. Edward said nothing. He said nothing because, of course, he could not speak. He lay in his small bed next to Abilene's large one. He stared up at the ceiling and listened to the sound of her breath entering and leaving her body, knowing that soon she would be asleep because Edward's eyes were painted on, and he could not close them. He was always awake. Sometimes, if Abilene put him into his bed on his side, instead of on his back, he could see through the cracks in the curtains and out into the dark night. On clear nights, the stars shone, and their pinprick light comforted Edward in a way that he could not quite understand. Often he stared at the stars all night until the dark finally gave way to dawn. This is chapter 2. You need to read a couple chapters to let it set up the whole scene for you, and you will definitely then get hooked. Start off a little slow, but let me tell you, it is so worth the read. Kindergarten through 5th graders, it's a wonderful book. It doesn't really have an age level or discrepancy. So I really hope you check it out and read it. Like I said, it's my all-time favorite. If you like it, please email me and let's talk about it, or we could do a Google Meet and talk about it. Also, I have that Flipgrid out there too, and you can talk about it to me through the Flipgrid. So I hope you're all doing well and getting lots to read and staying busy and staying healthy, and I will reach out to you soon.